Welcome to the Infatuasian podcast. Today we're doing another side dish episode. This time we're going to talk about a Korean movie. That's the first time we've talked about a Korean movie, I believe. But today we're going to talk about Decision to Leave. And this movie caught my attention because there's these awards in Korea called the Blue Dragon Film Awards. And they're kind of like the equivalent to our Academy Awards. And Decision to Leave basically won all the big categories. It won Best Film, Best Director, Screenplay, Music, Best Actor, Best Actress. It really, really dominated. And so I noticed that. And then I noticed that it got nominated for some American awards as well, the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice Critics' Choice Movie Awards. And it's also on the list for the entries to the Academy Awards. And so I figured this would be a good movie to talk about. And so I threw up a little Instagram question. I go, hey, would anyone want to talk about this movie with me? And a few people replied. And so we're doing this episode. And I think it'd be real fun based on who's coming along today. So let's go ahead and introduce our guest today. Let's start with our old friend, Zabrina Dang. You guys remember Zabrina. She was on our Tony Leung episode. And Zabrina is an award-winning photographer based here in San Francisco. But she shoots all over the world when there's not a pandemic. She's also a Sony Artisan and a cinema lover. So she's a perfect guest for us to help us break down some of the visual aspects of this movie. So, hey, welcome back, Zabrina.
Hi, Curtis. Good morning, Margo. I'm so excited to be on your show today. And this is actually one of the solo uno movie I saw for the entire quarter in the fall of this year. So I'm so excited to share my inputs and yeah.
All right, yeah. So thanks so much for joining us again. You may hear, last time we had birds in the background. Today we may hear some coffee being made and stuff. But yeah, so thanks for coming along and sneaking out of the house early in the morning to join us.
or patrons yelling at me. I'm just like doing podcasts in a cafe.
You know, it adds some ambiance to it, I think. So
I hope that helps.
And also joining us all the way from the southeast corner of France, we have another friend of the program. You've never heard her before, but she is Margo, the host of the podcast K-Dramas with Margo. And if you speak French, you can give her a listen. She breaks down K-dramas in French. And we're friends on Instagram a little bit. We comment back and forth a little bit. Yeah. But when I posted who wants to talk about this movie, Margo said, hey, this is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, your timing was pretty much like perfect because I just watched the drama twice actually. And when I saw your story, I was like, oh, wow, the timing is perfect because it's my favorite movie so far.
Wow, yeah.
So thank you for inviting me because it's the perfect movie.
Of course. Let's see. Do you want to do a little French introduction for any of your listeners?
Yeah, why not? Salut, c'est Margo. J'espère que vous allez bien. J'ai été invitée pour ce super podcast. On va parler de Decision to Leave et j'espère vraiment que ça va vous plaire parce que je suis vraiment très excitée pour parler de ce film. Voilà.
Wow, très bien. C'est magnifique. Enchanté, Margo.
I love hearing. I don't understand much, but on Instagram she'll post some reels every so often, so I'll hear a little bit of French, and I love hearing it.
I love that too. That's why I binge watch Emily in Paris.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I know it's very cliche.
Are K-dramas popular in France?
Actually, not that much.
Wow.
We have like kind of a community around K-dramas, very active on TikTok and a bit on Instagram. But it's true that if I talk to someone and I say that I watch K-dramas, there is two possibilities. The first one is, what is K-dramas? And the other one is, oh, you're watching this. So it's not very popular right now, but in the younger generation, actually, it's getting popular.
Ah. How did you get into it?
Pretty much by hazard because I started with the Japanese culture, actually. Mm-hmm. And I was learning Japanese and I wanted to find some materials to learn Japanese, but I wasn't able to find like very good G-dramas, Japanese dramas. And just like that, I just found like a Korean drama. I don't know why. And I was like, oh, that's different. I like it. And I started to search like best K-dramas to watch as a beginner and so on. And then it was the end for me. Like I just watched 3 drama, 4 drama, and then 100, 200. And then I started my podcast, and here we are.
Yeah. So, let's talk about this movie. I think this will be fun. We are talking about the movie Decision to Leave, and so a little bit about that. In April of this year, it was at the Cannes Film Festival and was selected to compete for the Palme d'Or. And the director, Park Chan Wook, won Best Director at the Cannes Film Festival. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's a big honor. And then this movie, came out in June in South Korea, and then in North America, it was October. Definitely didn't blow up quite as much as the movie like Parasite or Train to Busan. But for those who like kind of more moody stuff, this one, caught people's eye. And then I watched it on Mubi. Mubi is a streaming platform that you can get a 7-day free trial for. So if you want to watch this movie, you can sign up for that. And if you cancel, which I did after like 6.5 days, I hit the cancel button, and it's real easy to cancel. It's a 1-button cancel. But then they offer you 30 more days. So that's a little hack. If you want to watch 30 days of Mubi, you can sign up for 7 and then cancel after that, and they'll give you some more days. So how did you guys watch this film? Sabrina, did you see this in the theater?
Yes. So funny story. I saw this on Daniel Wu's Instagram post that he shared it on Instagram that, go see this movie, is wonderful. And then I was like, what is this movie about? I think Instagram and my computer is listening. And then on the same day after I got home, and I saw there's like a YouTube video of this whole movie explained in Chinese language. So I binge watched 1 hour of all the detail of the movie, and then I'm like, this is the movie. I know it's like spoil everything, but this is the movie. I have to see it in the theater. And then I drove to the Piedmont Theater. It's a tiny little movie theater in Oakland, and I was also hoping to run into Daniel Wu, which I didn't. But there were probably maybe 5 people in the theater. I was one of the few people watching it, and I find that was one of the most enjoyable experience for 3 hours, and it didn't feel long, and every step of the way I was pretty much hooked, and it was one of the most enjoyable movie for myself for the entire year.
Wow. How about you, Margo? Did you see it in the theater or on streaming?
Yeah, on the theater. Actually, I wanted to go to the Cannes Festival for 2022, but I wasn't able to go there. I wasn't able, so I started to search a bit more about like the movie that were presented in the Cannes Festival, and I knew that there was like 3 movies: Broker, Hunt, and Healthy Calcium, Decision to Live. And immediately when I saw the trailer, Decision to Live caught my eyes, and I was like, I have to watch this movie, really. And I waited for more 3 months, 4 months before I was able to watch it, and I watched it in Geneva in a small theater, and twice actually, because the first one was very the first time I watched it, I was like, oh my god, I have to rewatch it because there is so many details, and I watched it a second time. It's a movie that you have to watch in theater. I think it's not the same experience if you watch it on your computer.
I agree. I totally agree.
I know. Yeah, I was trying to get to the theater, but the timing just didn't work out. So I'd like to try to still find it. I think it's still in a few theaters out there. So you guys audience out there, you can Google it, and hopefully it's coming to a theater near you.
Yeah.
Because, the visuals, the sound, it's just a different experience.
Indeed.
So this is, if you guys are into Korean cinema at all, you know this director, Park Chan Wook. He produced, co-wrote, and directed this. And he's internationally known for probably more of his psychological thriller kind of stuff, and to be honest, his films are kind of disturbing.
It is,
violent, and there's definitely not for children, these movies.
No way, no freaking way.
Very edgy.
Yeah, very edgy.
Yeah. What other movies have you seen by Park Chan Wook?
I saw, how do you say, Handmaiden?
Handmaiden.
It was pretty disturbing, but a really, really memorable movie. I really actually disturbing in a way that I really, really like it too. So
Yeah.
yes,
He hits a nerve.
yeah.
Yeah, he definitely hits on some things.
And me being so freaking Asian, it was on Prime and it was free, so I got to see it twice on Prime. It was really visually, it was stunning, and the way how they paced the story, I think that it was really, really wonderful. Yeah, and I don't know if it's totally different genre. I feel like it's totally different genre than The Decision to Leave. And then and I didn't have any expectation to be the same film at all, even knowing it's the same director. So I feel like it's a really, really great movie. I mean, it's like there are a lot of people comparing the two movie, right? And then so Decision to Leave, in a way, it's like kind of like a slower paced movie. And there's a lot of people saying on the internet that they didn't like the movie, or they're saying that it's not as good as his previous ones. But I think if you look at it, for myself, it's like apples and oranges, and I love my kids, my son and my daughter, different ways. So that's just the way how I feel Decision to Leave versus Handmaid. And
yeah. How about you, Margo? Have you watched a lot of his other movies?
Not that much, actually. I agree with Zabrina. I only watched Maiden actually as well, but I know a bit more about Old Boys. Even though I haven't watched it yet, I watched some like review dramas and review videos and analysis about the movie. So I know what's in the movie, like Old Boys. I know that's pretty violent. And as for Handmaiden, I wasn't like a big fan of it for a long time. And actually, Decision to Leave is like the first time that I really enjoy like his work. And I totally agree, it's very different. Decision to Leave is
very different.
Very different. And I really, as an outsider, because I don't know that much about the Park Chan Wook work, I prefer Decision to Leave. The genre and the mood and the overall mood, it's better suited to me.
No, it's definitely different. And I was a little nervous because I watched a few of his other ones, and they're quite violent, very bloody, and then Handmaiden was very like an erotic thriller. It's totally different. But this one, it comes out different. It's a there is some violence, but you don't see it. You see blood. But you don't actually see the violence happening, so it's more in your head,
And it's more romantic, kind of.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. Yeah. So I read a little bit about him, and he said that one of his favorite films of all times was Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo.
Yeah.
Which filmed in San Francisco, but it's also one of my favorite movies too. And there's some definite similarities. If you like Vertigo and you like kind of this idea of identity and mysterious, is she good, is she bad, is she evil, is she innocent, like there's all these kind of play on what this person actually is. I think you would definitely like Decision to Leave. Also the cast is pretty well known. Well, the first two leads are pretty well known. The stars, the detective is Park Hae-il, and he plays Detective Jang Hae-jun, and he's a really good detective from what we find out. And he's in the city of Busan, and he's good at homicides. And so he's really famous for working with the other really famous South Korean director Park Jong-ho, the director of Parasite. And so he's been in movies called The Host and Memories of Murder, which I haven't seen. But yeah, he's very well known in Korea. And if you look at his list of films, he does 1 or 2 movies a year for like the last 20 years. So he's very, very well known. Have you guys ever seen him before?
No, actually. Yeah, this is my first movie.
Me as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more known for films, not so much dramas. And then the lead actress is Tang Hui, she plays the wife of a man who dies, who the Hae-jun character is investigating. Her name is Song So-rae, and she's a famous Chinese actress. And she burst on the scene in 2007 in Ong Lee's Lust Caution with our guy Tony Leung, Zabrina.
Yes.
So that was a gutsy role for her. Yeah.
Great, yeah. That was also one of the big draw for me to see her in theater, to support fellow Chinese actress.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like a Chinese actress in a Korean movie, and that's part of it, right? Is that she's not fluent in Korean.
Right. Yeah. She actually, I saw it on one of her interviews that she has to pretty much start learning Korean as she got the job, and then she doesn't speak Korean almost at all, and so it's pretty interesting to see her to speak a completely different language. I don't speak Korean, but it's everything. It's very believable, and that says that she's an amazing actress, right?
Actually, her accent is pretty great.
Oh,
because I know a bit of Korean, and her accent. You can know sometimes that the way she put things is a bit weird, but on the contrary, sometimes she uses words that are way
like
not
more like classical, right? Like more from the old time, right? Which suppose it helps with her role that as as a foreigner speaking Korean, and which it adds to her attractive quality as her role in the film, right?
And that was a line in the movie too, where he said, "You watch all these old period dramas, and that's where you get your old-fashioned Korean from." So, but she's married to a Korean director, so that's kind of interesting. So I guess they use English at home.
Yeah, and she speaks English pretty well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw her at the awards show, and she said hello in Korean, and it was pretty basic. And then she switched to English. And someone translated into Korean. Then she switched to Mandarin.
Yeah,
and so,
I saw that. Yeah, and then back to
that interpreter.
Korean.
Yeah, that interpreter got to work out. So, and then the last guy that I really liked in this movie, he had kind of a small part, but I know Margo knows this guy is Go Kyung Kyo. He plays the detective's partner, and he's kind of a side character, but he's the funny guy in most of the first part of the movie.
Right.
And K-drama watchers know him from Reply 1988 or Chicago Typewriter, Strongest Delivery. He's got a whole list. Did you see Love and Contract? That's kind of a more recent one, Margo.
Yeah, I've watched it actually. It's pretty good, even though like there is some people say that it's not great. I really enjoyed it actually.
Okay.
For me, I watched it for Go Geum-pyo, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, he's popular. He does at least one drama a year that I can think of.
Yeah. Right.
All right. So let's get into this movie. So yeah, this is kind of a little genre blurring drama movie. It's kind of a little bit crime, a little bit romance. Which did you feel like it was more of? More crime or more romance?
For me, it's definitely more romance. I was actually thinking watching this entire movie is like kind of like a crime thriller, but to be honest, it's just like, and at the end, it's entire movie for me is just like a romantic movie. Yeah.
I do agree. Like when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, is it like a thriller, a romance? But it tends more to the romance. It's a mix of it, actually. It's a mix. But I tend to like the drama because it's a romance. I like the couple. Yeah,
and I feel like it's like one of those movies that you bring your boyfriend or you bring your husband to, and then they don't fall asleep.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. There's definitely a little bit of a plot, but it's not a really complicated plot. I mean, not that much happens, but it's the tension and the romance, yeah. Let me read the IMDb description. It's very, very brief and very, very vague. It says, a detective investigating a man's death in the mountains meets the dead man's mysterious wife in the course of his dogged sleuthing. So it doesn't tell you much at all. Can we do a better description? You guys want to try to do a better description of this? How would you describe this movie?
Okay, I'll let Margo go first.
I think it's it's the hardest question that you can ask me because I'm a bit scared of spoiling actually because
Oh, that's true.
But you just can't say that it's a thriller and a romance at the same time, and you have to be aware that if you watch Decision to Leave, it won't be just a thriller, but you will find like some part of romance in it.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think that's good. But yeah, it's just really a tense kind of mystery / romance, but it's really more about feelings
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
just how sometimes you can't control who you like, and sometimes you love what you love, and and you can't always determine that you're not as in control as you like to think sometimes.
Yeah, and I would like to think for those who loves all the Wong Kar-wai movie, they will love this one as well. Yeah.
Visually.
Yeah, and then all that, like, there's a lot of detail that I feel like I have to watch it over and over again in order to appreciate like the detail more deeply. And the detail adds into building up the story and building up their relationship. So, yeah.
Actually, that's a good segue. Let's talk about the visuals a little bit. Stunning. These
Oh my
visuals,
God,
like every
it's so
shot is like a
beautiful.
photograph.
Yeah, totally.
Very eye-pleasing.
Oh yeah, really like just the cinematography, the composition, and the color, the use of color. It was like amazing, right? And there's this two. I remember like screen capping, 2 frames after I come home and we watch on Mubi again, and there's this one scene when Haijun interrogate Tang Wei, right? And in that room, and it was like a split screen, and having Tang Wei on the left, it's like a perspective of watching her from the monitor, and then Haijun on the right side of the screen, and where he was sitting on the chair, and this composition, this framing is so well done. It's like a classic painting, but also it's like very interesting, and like us the viewer just like peeking through what's going on, and then also see Tang Wei from that screen of a screen, that kind of framing. It's so it's really, really interesting the way how composition adds into the story, that Tang Wei is being like framed twice, yeah, you know what I mean?
I see.
Yeah, the different both points of view at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, and also like it's okay that we spoil, right? Spoil a little bit.
Oh wait, hold that. Yeah, hold that thought.
Sure. Okay. Oh, maybe I'll just talk about framing then. Yeah, no storyline, no plot, no plot spoiling. So kind of at the end of the film, there's this one frame, right? And then there's a car parked in the middle.
Yes, the road.
The Maserati. Yeah, the road.
Oh,
right.
Right.
So the Maserati part in the middle. Oh, it's not sponsored by Maserati, by the way. And then on the both side of the frame, it's ocean, right? And then you can actually see the view of the ocean from the wave crashing from the water to the sand, and it's like almost like shape of her face.
Oh wow! Did you notice that?
Oh, if you catch that, I don't know if you guys catch that.
Yeah, did you catch that? Because like recently I watched it twice, and I was like, oh, is it like the shape of someone's face?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it's like almost like it's but it's kind of like almost saying like that face is Tang Wei's face, right?
Yes,
it's so poetic. It's so beautiful. Yeah, I'm sorry, I shouldn't spoil anything.
No,
it's not a spoiler.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't catch that.
No, you have to watch it twice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not easy to catch.
Yeah, because I cheated a little bit because I watched this 1 hour and analyze of the movie in Chinese language, and it's like very dive deep. So then when I saw the film, I was able to catch that, obviously, because I saw the cheat.
You were looking for it.
I was looking for it, but it was like, wow, that's so profound.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's such a poetic aerial like drone shots at the end. Like, So be sure to do that. Watch that.
And it's such a quiet movie, there's not a blaring soundtrack or anything. It's very quiet and thoughtful, so you have time to soak in the visuals, which I think is really, really good.
And by the way, the music of the movie is available on Spotify until recently. Yeah, because I was waiting for it for a month, and then I just checked on Spotify just like that, and I was like, oh, it's available. Nice.
I gotta find it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very haunting. There's a lot of haunting music to it. And
classical music as well.
Very thoughtful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And do you guys catch that song? I think,
Mist?
is it called like Mist?
Yes.
Mist.
Yes,
Right? That song, it was so like deep in your head, like during that movie, right? And it's just like I don't know Korean, but then just like the way how that song is so right timing, right?
And I heard that because I watched like an interview with Park Chan Wook during the Cannes Festival, and he said that the name of the music was Mist, and it was like a reference to the city in the second part. I won't spoil anything, but there's a lot of fog in it, right? And it's a reference to that.
Yeah.
This is what I heard, at least.
Yeah. And do you guys find like that fog means something about their relationship?
Maybe.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't spoil it, but you're
let's
supposed to catch it yourself, right? From watching it.
Well, let's go ahead and give our thoughts, and then we'll go to the spoilers. Then you can say whatever you want. Okay, so for me, let's see. Who wants to go first here? Any overall impression to kind of sell this film to someone? What would you say?
I would say that it's a masterclass on filmmaking, I would say. And the camera language is very pleasing. Most of the time when you watch a movie, it's either like the camera language is incredible or the story is incredible. And this movie has both. Good camera language, good cinematography, and an amazing story. So I would recommend for that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
How about you, Zabrina?
I would totally agree with everything Margo said. And on top of it, and I really like all the detail of the stories, and there's all these also like Tang Wei and Haijun's. Sorry, I keep referring her Tang Wei. I think her character's name is how do you say it, Margo? Sorry. Yeah, Sorry and Haijun, right? And they're both of them, they're like master in their craft of acting, right? And how their eye, just like the role of the eye and or his gaze on her, like for that 10-second gaze, it's just all these are like master craft in the acting sort of speak, right? And I find that very, very enjoyable. One of the best actor and actress in the world. Also like all these like really interesting clues about like the movie, like the mountain versus water. I try not to get into spoiling, it's so hard. And it's really deep, and I really enjoy watching a movie with a deep meaning, much deeper meaning, and there's a lot of clues that you're guessing, what's going on between the two, and like their personality and their relationship, right? And also like the way, like you said, Margo said, like the camera language it's such a beautifully done, and it's a masterpiece, and a lot of frame, it feels like painting, like classic paintings, and the way how they use color contrast, it's so beautiful. So I think it's definitely one of the masterpieces and one of the best movie I saw in this year.
Yeah. For me, I didn't see a lot of movies this year, so
me too.
definitely the best movie for me. And you said it all, but I just wanted to say that I enjoy just looking at their faces as well. And with Tang Wei, there's a line in there where she says she smiles when she doesn't know what word to say in Korean.
Oh, yeah.
And so throughout the movie, I was just kind of watching that, and there's times where she kind of cracks a little bit of I think you call it like a Mona Lisa smile, where it's not, or she's subtle little grin, but you're not sure why she's smiling. Is she smiling because she's getting away with something, or is she smiling because she's nervous? So you don't know what's going on in her head, and how much Korean she actually understands. It's really interesting just watching her face the whole movie, and her expressions, and that she doesn't speak Korean fluently, so you're wondering, is she following all of this, or how much is she able to comprehend? And so it's just really a fun watch. Moody, not a feel good movie necessarily, but if it's a good winter film. You just kind of go and hide in the theater for a couple hours, and just it's just a great watch.
And Curtis, speaking of Mona Lisa, and do you guys, like you and Margo, right? Do you guys find that poster like where Tang Wei's look is so Mona Lisa, like also the way how she does her hair too, right? It's just like Mona Lisa smile. Yeah,
I do agree. And I think if I can add something, is that the chemistry as Sabrina said, it's very important. The chemistry is very intense. It's very something that you can't just go and just say, oh, nothing happened. No, it's very, very intense.
Oh yeah, it's very intense. Yeah, and it's all in the detail. It's all. So can we spoil now or no?
All right, let me give the warning. Okay, so it's time to get into spoilers. Zabrina cannot hold back any longer. So if you haven't seen Decision to Leave, we recommend maybe go seeing it first and pause this podcast. Go see the film, but definitely come back and hear our thoughts on it. So we're going to play, should we play a little bit of The Mist?
Yeah,
I think that'll be a good song.
Yeah.
We'll play that, and then when the song is over, we'll just play a few seconds of it. When the song is over, then you know that we're about to spoil it. So come on back.
돌아서면 가로막는 낮은 목소리 바람이여 안개를 걷어가다
Everybody, so everyone here has seen the movie or doesn't care about spoilers, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the plot. I felt like it was kind of like a 3-part story where you have this first kind of investigation of this husband who supposedly falls from this rock.
Right.
He's kind of a rock climber, and he falls hundreds of feet down and cracks his head open, and it looks like an accident, and so they're kind of like, well, let's go ahead and talk to the wife and whatnot. Through this, they figure out, or it is deduced that it was a suicide. And so case closed on that, and then we get to this kind of middle part, which is really a love story, right? Once you get to the middle, it's just them falling in love with each other. Well, they already kind of fell in love with each other, but they realize that how much they really like each other. And then he figures out that she probably pushed him off this hill. It's kind of involved. I don't want to ruin everything, so go watch it, and you can see that how he figures this out. And so that just ruins him. He's like, he felt like he was fooled by her, but he still likes her, so he doesn't want to turn her in. And so he says, get rid of this piece of evidence. And so he kind of runs away back to his hometown where his wife lives, and he goes to be a detective over there. And then, I didn't see this coming, but then she marries another guy, and he ends up dead, and he's called in as the detective for that one. So she moves to this small town where he is, and so now this detective is questioning, like, did you move here just so I would be the detective on this murder of your husband, your second husband? And so it just kind of spirals out of control a little bit in this kind of third act. What do you think of the plot? The plot was slow but super satisfying. Yeah,
actually, you said that you think that there is 3 parts, but at first, when I watched the drama, like, I saw only 2 parts, actually.
Oh, okay.
Like, the first part is, like, in the mountain, and the second part is in the ocean, kind of. Because I watched the interview of Park Chan Wook, and he said that, so And the first part is more like the first case, and then the pivot point is when he discovers that she lied to him and she might be the murderer. And the second part starts when you decide to, like, break up, kind of, or at least leave.
Yeah.
It's how I saw it at first, but I watched a lot of, like, reviews and stuff, and some said that there was even, like, 7 parts in the movie. I saw so many things, so yeah, I don't know, but for me the most, like, evident part is 2 parts for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Husband 1 and husband 2
as well.
Yeah, totally fair. How about you, Zabrina? What do you think of the plot?
The plots are, for me, it's really keeps me engaged, and I kind of saw 2 parts too. I didn't, I guess I didn't separate into 3 parts, like for location's sake. It's more like, I feel like in the beginning, like it's more like them kind of like getting to know each other, and then they kind of break up, right? And then the second part is like how like they reunited. So that's how I saw it. Like, yeah. And then the mountain versus water, actually that's a great analysis from Margo. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but it's true. Yeah.
And so kind of central to this is Tong Wei, her character, Suri. Yeah, so it's kind of it's a little bit ambiguous of whether how evil is she,
Yes,
and
I think they did
she
that on purpose, right?
absolutely, yeah.
And
Because she was beaten up by her first husband. He
right,
would beat her up.
yeah. And but at the same time, we sympathize with her, right? By that, like how she like she's like she killed her mom, but because she's just helping her mom to
Right.
die, right?
Right.
And then
right.
how she's keep marrying all these trash, like like terrible guys, right? And who
Yeah.
tattoo his initial on her privates, and getting beat up from all these different husbands, and we fall in a way, like, fall a lot of our sympathy with this woman. And even though she kills all these husbands, and we still, in a way, that we have, like, she is so, like, fragile, and us, even me as a women's viewer, I want to protect her, I want to rescue her as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's that great line where he, in the interrogation room, where he's like, "Don't you think it's very suspicious that your husbands keep dying? And what do you think what people would think?" And she's like, "Oh, I would think people would say that poor woman."
yeah.
And actually, the sense of humor is sometimes out of place, kind of cynical, you can see in some parts.
Yeah, yeah. Her sense of humor. Yeah, he even said that in one of the lines. Is it time to joke right now? What are we doing here? Yeah, it's really confusing. You could see his confusion. He was so confused this whole movie. What he's feeling
And Zabrina, you talked about the scene when she explains why she's marrying like all these kind of men, the trashy men. And I really like this scene, like when it's snowing, because she said, "Why did I marry those men? Because ideal men like you wouldn't marry me. Because just by talking face to face with me, there would be another murder." It's kind of cynical the way she just said that, like,
Yeah.
And that was the title of the film, right? She drops that line where she says, "Well, I marry these guys so I can have the decision to leave," which I still don't know exactly what that means, but I think, my interpretation is that she wanted some control in her life, and that's the only thing she could really control.
My friend watched an interview of Park Chan Wook, and he said that the fact that when you decide to leave someone is always something that you hesitate. Even though you want to leave this person, it's always something that you're not sure, should I leave him or not? But it's something that it's on your own free will.
Yeah. And so there's this... I like stories with impossible romances. I don't know why. It's something about it where, of course, there's Romeo and Juliet, but in the K-drama world, there's a bunch, Margo, right? Like Crash Landing on You is a case where there's this impossible love, or Mr. Sunshine is another one. I like this drama called I Am Not a Robot.
Yeah, I know.
And it has kind of this impossible love. What do you guys think of that? Like, how did you before it ended, how did you think it was going to end?
I didn't have any expectation per se, because I already saw
you spoiled it for yourself.
Yeah. But I think it was a beautiful ending, and it makes the movie more memorable that way. And it's very French, I think, right? Camargo, right? And I think, given if this would be a happy ending, it kills everything, right? It's gonna ruin the movie. And
Though it might be more popular, audiences like happy endings.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
No, I like moody. I like impossible loves, but I think for audiences in general, they kind of want things to work
right.
out.
And also, like, in a way, it's like, I feel like this movie, you kind of have some understanding of Asian culture, or maybe have really, like, great pay attention to detail, that kind of people, to really, really, really enjoy it. Like, there's this one scene, I don't know if you guys caught that, right? When he was finishing interrogating her, and he bought her sushi box dinner, right?
Yeah.
And that was like fancy, even for like Korean. That's like a really, really fancy, like 4-star, 5-star catered meal from Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah.
And then you can see it from the packaging, and also the way how they are so, like, they barely met, right? But they're so in sync up to, like, wipe the table, and
There was tension
And
there,
she tossed this like tissue
Yeah,
into
old
like
couple.
that shopping bag that he was holding. And while they were only had like interested to each other, right? And they didn't express any feeling or whatsoever, right? And to me, that's super sexy, super romantic. It's very interesting. And these kind of detail, it doesn't happen. I mean, it doesn't happen to anyone, but we know it exists somehow in our lifetime, right? And it exists to our friends, romantic story or whatnot. But this is a kind of thing that we really have to like watch with the eye of looking at the detail to enjoy it, right? And otherwise, you'll be like, oh, what's so interesting about her wiping the table, like, or him wiping the table for 20 seconds, right? But we have to have that intention to pay attention to detail and knowing this is something that only when two people are very, very romantically interested in each other and the body language sync up. So because I'm a wedding photographer and I kind of manufacture romance, and this is the kind of thing that I find it is so brilliantly done, and it's not too, for me, it's not vague at all. Yeah, so it's very obvious.
How about you, Margo? Do you have a favorite scene or several favorite scenes?
Actually, the first scene that we talk about with the face in the ocean. Yeah. That's one of my favorite. Like the road, the scene divided in two, with the road in the middle is one of my favorite. The end, actually, because for me, I wasn't expecting an happy ending, but I wasn't expecting this kind of ending either.
You didn't know how it was going to end.
I knew that. But I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
But I think it's better because it will last in your mind. I tend to prefer like intense stories with raw feelings, and it's kind of it suits me at least.
Yeah, my favorite, one of my favorite scenes was when they're handcuffed together in the police car. And, their hands are apart, and then she's holding his hand, and then he falls asleep, because that's one of the storylines is that he can't sleep, until he meets her.
Right.
And then so he couldn't sleep for a year, without her. And then they're in the cab together, and then their breathing syncs up again, and it just shows this comfort and peace that he has with her, though he's feeling some really intense feelings of betrayal and maybe even hate at that point for her, distrust, but yet he's the only one, she's the only one that he's at peace with enough to just fall asleep whenever. So they're so subtle. Oh, and just to go off the Zabrina scene with the sushi, in the second interrogation, the corn dogs.
Right. That was funny. And it's like, so we're like, oh, I just had that same Korean style corn dog like last week and it was terrible.
And she makes his face. Yeah. She's like, wait, what is this?
Right. Yeah.
So disappointed.
Yeah, that was classic. So there's some real neat scenes. The ending, I don't know how it was going to end. I was watching this and I was just thinking, how is this going to end? Because they can't end up together. And we know that. But it's this sacrifice, right? Where he sacrificed his whole career for her in a way, or his integrity or his pride. And then, so he felt like he was ruined, or he used the word shattered in English. And then at the end, when her second husband is about to reveal that this police detective might have let her get away with murder, and he was going to release that soundbite, she sacrificed herself for him. And
this is the moment when we know that Sore is not that bad, actually, because during the movie we're always thinking, is she like a psychopath?
Right. Yeah.
Or is she like, because I think for me that Sore is kind of a complex person, because I think that she has like different moral compass, in a way that for her something that's good or bad is not the same for us. She doesn't see the world the same way. Like with the second murder, when she said that, oh, I know that you fear blood, so I like clean up the crime scene for you. So we can see that she loves him, but in a twisted way and in her own way, I think.
Yeah. Guys, guess what? It's been an hour
Oh,
already.
Yeah.
So we got to wrap this up a little bit. How should we wrap this up? What do you want to end on here?
I just want to add a fun fact about the ending about this suicide, because I'm not sure that if you know about that. But I watched an interview of Park Chan Wook who said that for years he wondered, how could I kill myself without anyone noticing it and without finding my body, without it being able.
It's kind of dark.
Like
That's pretty dark.
in a coffee shop. Oh, how could I kill myself? Yeah, it's a bit weird. And it has he wondered for like a lot of years, and then he found he came to a conclusion that burying yourself in the sand might be the best way to disappear from the earth without leaving any traces.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I found something a bit weird is that in this scene, I don't know if you catch it or not, but when she decided to kill herself, she take a bucket and she started to dig in the sand.
Yeah.
And the scene after that, she has like a bottle of soju, alcohol. She's drinking, and I was like, "Oh, where did you find the bottle?" Yeah, I know it's a detail, but I was very confused because I was like, "There is no bottle in the previous scenes."
Oh.
Maybe in her pocket.
Oh. Was it in the bucket?
I don't think so because she was like digging, and on the floor like there was nothing. Because I watched it twice, so I was like, let's find some clues. And I didn't find anything.
Yeah. You know what I just saw too was that when she goes there, there's a stick in the sand.
Yes.
And maybe she had already been there and marked where the tide goes.
Oh, okay.
So she knew how high the water would go. And she looked at her watch, so she knew how much time she had to dig. So I think it might have been planned out for a while that she knew she was going to do that. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, yeah, he has an interesting mind. If you watch his movies, you know his mind doesn't work like the rest of ours. I mean, he's a genius. You know, he's got his way of thinking that is different, and that's why his movies are interesting. But yeah, I don't think I've thought about how to disappear on this earth. So. All right, Zabrina, how do you want to end it?
I actually, I found that like the clues about like the mountain versus water, like mountain means wisdom, like wise, right? And people will like want to climb to the top, but it's also very solid. And once you get to the top, that's it, right? There's nothing to be seen or changed, right? But water, it means benevolent, right? Like and in a way it's like, and it's embracing, and it's also changes all the time. And I think it's very interesting that they it's kind of like what they're saying about relationship also, like and maybe that's why they will never be together. And then like, because once they're together, then they will become the mountain, they will become like the wife and hygiene, right? And things will become mechanical. And I think in a way that Kang Wei kills herself, and at the end that Haijun will continue to chase and to find her, right? In that way of her body disappear in the sand. And I just thought that's it's very, very deep and interesting. I'm still trying to like understand like what these clues mean, but I just think it's very, very interesting that they use this analogy, like talk about relationship, like mountain versus water. Yeah.
And it's funny that one scene where he's talking to his wife about moving to the sea, and he's like, "I'm a man of the sea," and she's like, "No, you're born in Seoul."
Yeah,
what
exactly. I thought that was really, really funny. Yeah. That was like it's got really like interesting sense of humor too. And I actually also love that when he was kind of like peeking at her, like using long lenses or something like that, right? Like from binocular from the apartment. And then in the morning, and then Tang Wei found him like sitting in the car, and then Tang Wei said good morning. And then when Haijun goes back to the office, and he will say good morning to all his like
such a good mood,
such a good mood. And then everybody will be like, whoa, good morning. So I thought that's really like like kind of light and airy and kind of great sense of humor touch to the movie. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, everyone out there, I hope we have encouraged you to watch this movie if you haven't already, or watch it again, at least if you have seen it. I recommend this to anyone who likes kind of a complicated relationship, anyone who likes a movie where you're going to be thinking about it for a while after, and you could argue about it. We don't all have to agree on it, but yeah, really good film. Who would you guys recommend this movie to?
Everyone.
Yes,
Everyone.
It's a must-see, I think.
In particularly people who loves all like in the mood of love genre, like all the Wong Kar-wai. If you love Wong Kar-wai movie, for sure, you'll love this one too.
In the K-drama world, Margo, what do you think it's the closest to?
This one? Wow. I don't think there's
no equivalent.
Let me
I'm
think.
thinking too, yeah. We can...
Yeah.
Well, I think in some ways, Mr. Sunshine, cinematically, and then these two people who are not alike at all, but somehow they're very alike.
Yeah, right now I can't think of any dramas because it's kind of very, like, it's not usual to watch like that, that kind of movie, like with a police officer who falls in love with a criminal or someone who is like a bit problematic.
Yeah.
So yeah, for the overall mood, I don't know why, but it made me think of the drama Tainen Diokida, Strangers from Hell, but just for the mood, not for the story, but the overall mood, like guilty pleasure. It's a bit weird and problematic, but at the same time you like it.
Yeah.
You feel drawn to the story, even though it's morally ambiguous. Yeah.
Did you like Little Women?
Yes, but only for the main couple.
Yeah. It's of course it's different too, but it's got a little.
Actually, yeah. Decision to Leave was like co-written by Park Chan Wook and another person who is a woman, and the screenwriter of Little Women is the co-writer of Decision to Leave. That's why you can see some similarities in the visual aspect. That's why. Yeah, I find it quite interesting.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, so she likes kind of ambiguous relationships and a little moodiness. Yeah, interesting. Good knowledge, Margo.
Actually, I've made an episode on Decision to Live in French. That's why I know all these fun facts.
So anyone out there who can understand French, go listen to Margo's podcast. You have one episode in English, so that's how I knew you could do an English podcast, because I heard you did.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah, I interviewed
Kim Porsche,
a Thai actor. Yeah, about Kim Porsche.
Yeah, that was your one English one, so I knew you could do an English podcast. But so you're close enough to Switzerland that you can just walk to Geneva or drive to Geneva?
Yeah, I can drive. I'm just like 20 minutes away from Geneva.
Oh, wow.
But still in France.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks so much, everyone, for coming along. Zabrina, thanks for coming along and ditching your family for an hour for us.
Thank you, Curtis. What a joy to discuss this movie with you guys. I got to go see it again, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to find a theater. I got to get out to the theater to see it. And Zabrina, you're coming on again soon. We're going to talk about your project in The Unsung Heroes of Chinatown, which is a photographic journalism. It's a video too, right? You do a little video.
Yeah, so I have a little BTS video of an interview of 4 women of San Francisco Chinatown, and then talk about like how charming they are, and like they're really truly the vivid personality of what makes Chinatown what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that more next time when you come on.
Thank you.
But I'll put a link in the description for the link to the Sony video on that for a little behind the scenes. Or you can follow Zabrina on Instagram at ZabrinaXYZ. So I'll put that in the show notes. And Margo, thanks so much for coming along.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Margo. Yeah.
Thank you, Zabrina.
If you speak French, or you can listen to the one episode in English, or you can listen in French to K-Dramas with Margo. It's Margo.
Yes.
And you can find that on Instagram as well, or Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can find Margo on Instagram at Margo_dramas, and you can see what she's up to. You'll realize that she loves Asian things. I saw your post recently of you had some bibimbap, you had some dumplings, and I said, "Are you sure you're not Asian?"
Homemade.
Oh, is that all homemade?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So give Margo a listen if you speak French. But thanks so much, everybody, for coming along. And of course, everyone out there, you can write to us at infatuationpodcast@gmail.com, and you can give us a follow on Spotify. That would help us to get new listeners. Every time you follow, it kind of recommends us to other people. Give Margo a follow as well on Spotify. And do us a favor and recommend this episode to someone. You know, if you know someone who might like this episode, send them the link. Yeah, that'll make it easy for them to find us. You can also follow us at The Infatuasian Podcast on Instagram or Facebook. But until we talk to you again, thank you all so much for listening out there. And on behalf of Zabrina, Margo, and myself, we hope you're all happy, healthy, and safe out there. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.